So, when you hear the name Shopify, your mind probably jumps to a simple tool for building an online store, right? But honestly, that's just scratching the surface. Shopify has become this absolute titan of global commerce, basically the central operating system for millions of businesses. The real question is, how did it become the brain for modern retail? Well, let's break it down.
To get a sense of the scale we're talking about, just look at this number, $1.2 trillion. That's the total value of all the stuff that merchants have sold through Shopify's platform since the beginning. I mean, this isn't just a company anymore, it's its own massive, independent retail economy. So, why is Shopify so indispensable? Well, it solves what you could call the fragmentation crisis. Just think about it for a second. If you're a modern brand, you have to be everywhere on Instagram, on TikTok, on Amazon. Maybe you even have a physical pop-up shop. Shopify acts as that central brain, that single source of truth that connects all of it, managing your inventory, your customers, and your orders all in one place.
And that really gets to the heart of Shopify's core mission. See, they don't want to be the body of commerce. They're not interested in owning all the warehouses and the delivery trucks. Nope. They want to be the brain, the powerful, high-margin software that powers everybody else. And, their business model is just so cleverly designed to do exactly that.
Now, this slide here reveals the real secret sauce behind Shopify's business. It's not just about the monthly subscription fees. That's the subscription solutions part you see here. The real engine is merchant solutions. We're talking about things like payment processing fees from Shopify Payments. What this means is that Shopify's success is directly, and I mean directly, tied to its merchants' success. When they sell more, Shopify earns more. It's a beautiful model.
But for a few years, Shopify kind of strayed from that core mission. They got fueled by all that pandemic-era growth and made this dramatic multi-billion-dollar bet to go head-to-head with Amazon by building its own physical logistics network. It was a classic, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em moment. And it was a huge gamble. And this timeline just shows you how fast and aggressive that bet really was. In 2019, they launched the Shopify Fulfillment Network. A few months later, boom, a $450 million acquisition of a robotics company. Then in 2022, a massive $2.1 billion deal for a logistics provider called Deliver. But then, just a year later, in May 2023, the entire thing was sold off, just like that. Which brings us to what's being called the Great Operational Reset. In this absolutely stunning reversal, Shopify sold all its logistics assets, laid off thousands of people, and went right back to focusing on what it does best, high-margin software and payments. It was, for sure, a painful move, but it was incredibly decisive. The company's CEO, Toby Lutka, framed this massive change not as some kind of failure, but as a worthwhile side quest. He basically argued it was a necessary detour that, in the end, made the company's main quest even clearer. Honestly, it was a masterful piece of PR that reframed a really costly mistake into a valuable lesson learned. And this chart, it just starkly illustrates the financial results of that pivot. I mean, look at this. Before they sold off the logistics business, Shopify was just burning through cash. Afterwards, its free cash flow margin skyrockets to over 18%. That hard decision paid off, and wow, did it pay off immediately. How much did it pay off? $1.6 billion. That's the amount of free cash the company generated in 2024 alone. It just proves that getting back to the main quest was absolutely the right move for the business. So, okay, the company is lean. It's refocused. The big question now is, what makes this comeback sustainable? What are those deep competitive advantages, the moats, that protect Shopify from all its rivals? Well, it really comes down to three things. First, you have its massive app store. Second, there's the incredibly powerful network effect from its checkout tool, ShopPay. And third, the absolute treasure trove of data it's using to build some really powerful AI tools for merchants. Let's start with the App Store. With more than 16,000 third-party apps, Shopify doesn't have to build every single feature itself. I mean, if a merchant needs some super niche tool for, managing wine subscriptions in Italy, you can bet there's an app for that. This effectively outsources their research and development on a global scale. It's genius. And then there's the ShopPay flywheel. Okay, this thing is brilliant. A shopper uses ShopPay just once at any Shopify store, and their information is saved. The very next time they go to shop at one of the millions of other Shopify stores, their checkout is already pre-filled. This boosts conversion rates like crazy, which attracts more merchants, which in turn attracts more shoppers, and you get this virtuous cycle that is just incredibly difficult for anyone to break.
Okay, so we've established the core business is strong. Let's shift gears and look at the road ahead. We need to see how Shopify plans to keep this growth going and, of course, what challenges are standing in its way. Future growth seems to be focused on three key areas. First, the huge, largely untapped business-to-business market, which is already growing at a wild 140%. Second, moving up market to serve massive enterprise clients. Think Nike and Banana Republic. And finally, building out its AI assistant, Sidekick, to automate all sorts of complex tasks for merchants. But, it's not all smooth sailing. The biggest risks to watch out for are a weak economy that could hurt consumer spending, new legal battles over data privacy and antitrust, and a very unique governance structure that gives immense power to its founder. And this right here is the core debate around Shopify's future. There's this special founder share that gives CEO Tobi Lütke 40% of the voting power. On one hand, that protects him from short-term shareholder pressure, so he can execute on a 100-year vision. But on the other hand, that same structure limits accountability. It means shareholders have very little power if they disagree with, say, another billion-dollar side quest. So this is the central tension we're left with. The very founder-led vision that allowed Shopify to make that bold and correct decision on logistics is also its biggest governance risk. So is a founder with absolute control the ultimate key to long-term success, or is it a fatal flaw? That's really the question that's going to define Shopify's next chapter.